Hello, everyone. Welcome back to RPG A Day, day 25. I'm John, and today's prompt is desirable dice. This is always a fun one. I mean, as you know, this is as RPG players and as game masters, we always have just quite the collection of dice. I have a couple different places where I keep them. Most notably is I keep them in my Crown Royal bag here. And I have dice. Some of the more kind of desirable ones that I just like for utility are the fudge dice for fate or fudge. So it's pluses, minuses, blanks. The plus means positive 1, negative 1, and 0. So you roll them and you tally up, which ones are the rolls. You can use this you can just use a d6 for this, but it is fun to have the symbols. So yeah, that's the first kind of my desirable dice. The second ones are for Goodman Games is a Dungeon Crawl Classics. They make a whole bunch. They call them, I think, Xochi dice. There are a whole bunch of extra sided dice. Like at the top, they have the D30 and the D7, the D5. Or they even have this really, here's their version of a D4. And of course they have the standard D20. And that's actually done through Dungeon Crawl Classics. Instead of advantage, disadvantage, where you roll 2 D20s, basically go up a die size. Or you go down, depending on if you have, if you increase your roll, if you lower your roll. So it's really cool. They also have a really nice D3. I actually really like these. A D3, which is just a 6-sided die, but just 1 to 3 written on it. And this one is the one that Goodman Games put out, have Roman numerals. I also have this D3. I don't even know what game this is. I just found it, which is just blank purple. I'm still looking for the D3s that are more like a pill-shaped kind of oddity. But otherwise, and there goes the D3. I'll pick it up later. I'm still looking for those pill shapes, but these little D3s, they serve the purpose when you need a D3. A couple other honorable mentions are Q Workshop's dice. I really like them. This yellow one is kind of their regular D6. Or this yellow one. This is kind of the regular D6. And this pink one, this is actually for a set of Call of Cthulhu licensed dice I have. And look at the little elder sign there. I'm also a real sucker. I have a couple of these where they're kind of these D6s with these swirls. This one's green. I also have a couple black ones. I also have these really nice yellow dice. I think these are Chessex dice. But here's one of the first ever D20s I bought. It was like 50 cents at the old game store I used to grow up near in my hometown. So I'm also a real sucker for Chessex translucent green dice. There's the D20, D10s. I just love I love the way the light hits the translucent dice. But another reason why I really like the green color specifically is because this was one of the first D20s I ever rolled. This was my dad's. Or one of my dad's dice when he gamed back in the 80s as a teenager. and as a college student. So I really like this die. This is one of my favorites. It still rolls pretty well. I always keep it when I'm running games as kind of my good luck charm. That's it. I have quite a few older dice from my dad. Here's a clear D20. Here's a D10 that you can see for all you grognards out there. I can't really see it well, but it's marked with pen, not crayon. It's marked with pen, so that helps. As well as this really battered D8 and D4. They can't even really make out the numbers anymore. That's another thing I think because of my dad's dice. Here's a better example. I'm actually more of a fan of the older style D4 where the number you want is on the bottom of the pyramid as opposed to the top. But that's just preference. But yeah, I love the few things of my dad's dice. They're probably my most desirable dice are the ones that were my dad's. My dad's still with us. He hasn't passed away or anything. I'm still fortunate about that. But as I've mentioned a couple times, there's a siren going by. Sorry for that. When I mentioned, I've mentioned this before. I don't actually have a lot of actual gaming paraphernalia from my dad. I was a kid. I was actually a baby. I was like a newborn. And there was a flood in the house we were living at the one time, and in the basement, and it destroyed all his D&D books that were down there. So I don't have any original books. I think I have most of, from my collection, I think I have most of what he actually owned. I don't think, from what I gathered, he didn't actually own a lot. I probably have more than what he owned. But so yeah, I don't have my dad's game books, so, but I do have my dad's dice, and I also have a lot of miniatures from my dad. So that's kind of how I keep, it's just having a bit of my dad always at the table, and sharing in that hobby that he introduced me to. So those are really my most desirable dice. Really, it comes down to these old ones. I don't really let other people roll my dad's dice, mainly because they're old and they're hard to read. I let people like this clear D20 is really hard to read at the table, even from my young-ish eyes. But yeah, it's almost like, that idea of having a legacy. Having a legacy, but also like having like a family heirloom, like a gaming heirloom. It's the dice. And they're beautiful little things, and I love them. So, anyway, those are my most desirable, my desirable dice. Let me know what your desirable dice are. Do you have a similar story from a relative, or about your first dice set, or your, just tell me. Tell me your stories. As always, I'm John. Happy gaming, and have a good day, guys.